Welcome to my Conscious Podcast. I'm Jessika Klingspor, and this is a podcast where we dive into our inner worlds and the incredible skills hidden inside us. It is a space for honest and meaningful conversations where our guests share their stories and insights from their life experiences and journeys of self-discovery. In this episode, you will meet Taya Stapelfeldt, a woman with a very special connection to the island of Ibiza, where she resides. She is a leadership coach within somatic mastery, a mentor, and a woman whisperer. Join us to find out what that really means and hear our conversation about how we both relate to inner development and how to integrate it with life in different ways. She was just like me climbing the ladder of career and success when her whole body system collapsed, as she was not aligning with her heart. Listen to her story about her journey and how she rose up again, and how she now is walking her talk, helping women to find their whole in their life. Based on Ibiza, Taya Stapelfeldt is a somatic leadership coach, mentor, and embodiment trainer for women entrepreneurs and coaches who want it all: a soul partner, motherhood, and purpose-driven flourishing business. Over the years, Taya has left an indelible mark on the lives of countless impactful individuals, among them numerous conscious entrepreneurs, celebrity coaches, speakers, as well as renowned artists, guiding them to embody their higher selves and navigate the complexities of life with resilience and purpose. Known to her clients as the woman with the key, who has the direct connection to truth, the essence of magic can be felt when working with Taya because there is an element of the unexplainable about her results. At the same time, she is a somatic strategist with a laser focus on tangible outcomes for her clients in real life. Her unique approach to somatic mastery combines many years of spiritual practice with leadership coaching, mindset, movement, breath, and energy work that enables clients to transform at every level. In her one-on-one exclusive mentorship, she trains conscious business leaders and professional coaches in unique somatic skills for sustainable impact. The tools she offers are remarkably precise. In 3 to 6 months, she takes her clients full circles by working on every aspect of who they are, creating lasting change and new directions for decades to come. She is widely known from Goss Magazine, the New Female Leader podcast, Live Wide Awake podcast, Green is the New Black, Meditation Moments app, BBC Radio, and White Ibiza, amongst others. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Conscious Podcast. And today I have a very special woman, Taya Stapelfeldt, that is living on the island of Ibiza. And as you could just previously hear from the bio, she is a woman whisperer, and she is a leadership coach in somatic mastery, and also mentor and coaching in other ways. But the somatic leadership is what she is really embodying. And I'm so excited to have you here, Taya. Welcome.
Wow, thank you, Jessika. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And it's so nice. And I can even see, if you're indoors, I can still see the sun rays from Ibiza entering in the podcast. It's so lovely. It's one of my favorite places you live on.
So I send you
how is it to live on Ibiza?
It's beautiful. It is my dream indeed. I always had a very deep connection to the island. I'd love to send you and all the listeners a little bit of the juicy green fig tree right here outside of my window, and the carob tree, and yeah, it's a beautiful moment in Ibiza. On the weekend,
everything's flourishing.
Yes, and the sea is clear and fresh. We even saw an octopus on the weekend, like very close to the shore. So yeah, it's magical.
It is magical to live so close to nature.
Yeah.
Because Ibiza is not for my crowd, but for my unknown crowd. They think it's all about party and all that, because it has gotten very famous for it. But there is a totally another side of that island, the rural part. where there is also a huge, fantastic community of healers, teachers, people who live close to Mother Earth, who honor Mother Earth, and all about food and vital kitchen, wouldn't you
Mhm.
say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more, if you get to know this, yeah, we spoke about before, this transformative energy that the island has, you understand why. Yeah, people are drawn to the island that somehow know there is more freedom for them to access. There must be a space where we can be more ourselves, where we can give more, where we can create deeper things. Yeah, it's very special. And the reason why I am connected to Ibiza is actually because my uncle had moved here in 74, so a year before I was born. And so
Really?
I came here with my parents in the hippie times, and I learned how to walk on the red soil of Ibiza. And
Wow, that is a unique. I have never met somebody now living there who had this
mm,
connection to the island.
yeah, it was paradise, how I remember it. The sun, the playing, in nature. And when I came here again, sorry, when I came here again, um, probably like 35 years later, for the first time, it was just this remembering in every cell of my body, like home, like,
Reconnecting
whoa. Yeah.
to all that
Yeah.
energy, yeah, that you had in your cells since that time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
How long have you been living there now in total?
It's about 7.5 years, like for good, and we've been coming here since like 12, 13 years for a few months every year, and had been planning to jump, but we came here then in the end when our son was 4.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been raised here, and that's been the best. I mean, he's only 11. We're still on it, but it's been the best decision. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I mean, to
it's
grow up on
wow.
Ibiza, what a gift.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
truly a gift. Yeah.
And you are really living your mission, your purpose on the island. You are
Mm,
totally, you've said to me before that you think about your purpose like in every moment apart from your family. But it's
mm,
really, you're living it, you're walking the talk. Because there was a time when you were living a life of pure willpower and also creating from what you thought was the heart, but it's more ego driven. And
mm,
I can resonate very much with that because I was doing the same until a point in my life when I understood, but this is not me.
mm.
Can
Yeah.
you go back in time and relate to this and tell how it was for you to
Mm,
discover this and that inner shift that you
yeah.
did?
Yeah. It was this one moment in my life where I just broke down. I was down on the floor in my apartment in Hamburg, Germany, and I lost it. I basically collapsed. I thought I had a heart attack. I called an ambulance. I was down on the floor. I could not leave my apartment. And they just looked at me as if nothing was wrong. And, can you imagine the level of shame inside of me? And it was just like a complete ego death. I was down on the floor, humble, praying for the pain to stop after I had been numbing and pushing, just like you said, for decades, actually. And well, in this moment, at some point, everything was silent and something opened up, and I surrendered. And I had an amazing career. I thought I always got what I wanted through willpower, through, and all of what I wanted had something to do with my real essence, but only like partially, right? So there was this other part that kept pushing and not listening deeper until my body said, like, listen. And I collapsed. And from that moment, I mean, I never went back to my career, and I had to
No?
completely reinvent myself. And
that
that's
is not done in one day. I mean, you know,
no,
the ego death, and to really integrate what was happening to you and then rise up again. It is quite a journey.
it is absolutely. And of course, this journey came with, yeah, well, looking back, it was really my mom getting diagnosed with a fatal illness, and that knowing I'm going to lose her brought up all the old memories of traumatic experiences. And I had lost already a big part of my family. My dad had left when I was 4, and he committed suicide when I was 21. And so I lost him kind of twice. And all of this, I kind of, I grew up very consciously. Yeah. In Ibiza, my dad had moved to Greece to a conscious community. So I always knew about this other world, but there weren't really tools available for me. There was talking therapy, and basically I was following this question of what is the truth? Like, what are we doing here in this society, in this matrix? It always felt like there is this unconscious kind of society where we're just following. And then there are like a little bit the conscious people that kind of leave society, but kind of stay in the same overall consciousness. It's just against something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how to bring it all together. And long story short, in the end, where I found my truth after studying, sociology, cultural anthropology, gender studies, literature, linguistics, media, I was always looking for the answer. What is it? And I went through therapies and yoga and all of this. And I found it literally in the opening of the somatic system, which I call it a channel where we really connect simultaneously all of the intelligences in our body, that we can access through our body. I'm not saying everything is body, but that we can access these different intelligences simultaneously, and we teach our mind, right? Like through experience. We are intuitive, we are healers, it's all there. And all of this comes back.
Because most of us live our life unconsciously, in our unconsciousness, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if it is 95% and 5% is the consciousness. And we could actually expand to wake up from that unconsciousness. And you, I imagine, can give the tools to get deep down, to open up that unconsciousness into more and more and more consciousness. And so the somatic is beyond the physical body, the physical vessel that we have.
Yeah. But it's very, very, very much also about the body. I work deep into the body, and here comes the unconscious part. That's really a chart. It's a way of how we have learned very early on how to close our system. Imagine we're really like an open channel. If you look at children, they run, they cry, they live, they touch, they learn constantly, they're hungry for life. And they get conditioned very early energetically, also through their parents' schools, etc. We get so conditioned that this open channel gets kind of like closed and closed and closed and closed. Plus, we are learning reactivity. So we're repeating all of this again and again, all through our lives. And when we tap into this innate desire to this life force I spoke about, this energy flow, like a river, we hit all of these rocks that we created, call it blockages, call it patterns, call it, physically, energetic, spiritual, that then we are faced with. And we don't want to feel it. The last thing is that we want is this, right? So actually, that's usually where development stops. And,
with the
and
resistance.
There's a lot of spiritual bypassing happening, right? Because really a lot of that pain is in our core, in our lower body, in our womb, in our belly. So, and so actually, when this life force energy, when we meet it again, what it also does is it makes us so brave. It's like, it feels to me often, at least, it's like, and if it's the last thing I'm gonna do in this lifetime, it feels so real. It's such a deep calling, and it gives me the power to work through all of my blockages, through my deepest pain, the things I never wanted to touch ever in my life. You're willing to go through.
Isn't that the biggest obstacle for everyone, that they don't want to open up Pandora's box and feel all that terrible pain?
Exactly. But through the body, it becomes so tangible that actually you understand what there is to do. If we try, let's say, from the heart and the mind and the spiritual alone, it feels too big. It feels too
overwhelming.
Because we need the core. We need the connection to the earth, to the ground, to strengthen us, to our beingness, that we are, like, we have that power. We have this innate life force, the sexual energy as well, that we are strong enough to face it, to go through it, to grow through it, basically.
And why don't they teach this in school from an early stage?
Oh my God, now you get me tempted to start up a whole philosophical and political discussion, but basically it's not serving society, right? Like, we are meant to fit a box. We are meant to fit a certain job. We are meant to serve the economy. We are meant to do so many other things than being powerful, right? And that's also why I love to work with women, because this special feminine power that's really, really lacking in our system. I believe that the more we get to activate that collectively, that this will be a big change for all of us.
Yes. But also more and more people, and women especially, are working more on this, on their selves, on their beings.
Yes.
To become what they are supposed to become, to fulfill the being here while we are on Earth. I think more and more I hear, at least in my world, that because I've been spending all my life in the corporate world, where they think this is like woo-woo stuff.
Yes.
And I have been suffering a lot myself in the corporate world, because I feel that I have one, big part of me is in this, the inner. I've always been fascinated by traveling, the journeys, but also the inner journey.
Yeah.
And I feel that there is a momentum now with the world getting more conscious, birthing a new world through themselves, rising the awareness. And I think when we plug into that, and then if we come together, then we can really make a big change.
Yeah.
And so my wish is to bridge this into the corporate world. And I can all of a sudden see it gives me a conclusion why I had to go through all that, because I needed to have that experience. And I can also be recognized in the eyes of other corporates because they know me since always. And now I am tapping into this, and they start to like, this is interesting. Yeah. I started this inner development goals. I don't know if you're aware of this global movement that was born in Sweden, that they have created this framework of 5 dimensions: being, thinking, collaborating, relating, and acting. And there is 23 skill sets in that, and everything's science-based. And by just starting to say it's science-based, it's like, okay, we can bring it into the boardrooms. You know what I mean? So I think we are more or less with different tools, but we are on the same mission here. And I get so interested in what you are doing, because you are one-on-one with entrepreneurs, top celebrities, people that are leaders, and have a thought leaders and opinion leaders. They are interested to work with you and to work on themselves. Yes. How do you approach them not to scare them away?
Well, to be honest, I don't really approach them. They get sent to me by recommendation
Really?
most of the time, because all I'm interested is results, right? I want to see you shine. I want to see your life changing. I want to see that you can really live your life, right? Like this famous quote over and over again, you're just afraid of our light, yeah, of our power. To really be powerful is our biggest fear. And that's what I deliver, and that spreads the word. And yeah, it's really, especially in women leaders, that they understand that their sensuality, their sexuality is such a big power that they don't want to live anymore outside of their purpose. Yeah. What I'm speaking about has not that much even to do with having sex. It's really that life force energy to be yourself, to empower yourself, and naturally empower the women and men as well around you. Yeah. When you speak about corporate, you're much more in it than me. You know, years ago, my biggest mission was to re-embody the world. I wanted to reach as many people as possible. And I got a little held back or frustrated in seeing that the system doesn't really give the space, right? Or what you were talking about sounds amazing. The level of consciousness, you know, in Sweden or in this organization sounds amazing. That's not the reality for a majority of corporate companies, right? So I often saw that, first of all, it needs a long integration, that people that are so willing and have transformed so much inside that they find a way to integrate it into their lives, because they were so limited in the system of the 9 to 5 job or 9 to 7 often, right? And they were so willing. But I feel it needs to start with the leaders. When the leaders are waking up, they can actually have the power and the control to change something within the system. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I a little bit shifted. It's like where do I, me, myself, like from here on the island of Ibiza, how do I have the biggest impact in the lifetime that I have available to me? And I decided, okay, it's the women leaders where I see I have the biggest potential and impact. And the ripple is gigantic of how they are redefining motherhood and leadership, and the way they run their companies, and what I can see rippling around them, how they're leading their teams, and speakers and coaches, leadership coaches, where I get so much gratitude. I also train leadership coaches in my tools, where they're like, wow, now at the end of the day, I feel so much more myself. I feel high, the level of transformation and how the women work out of my sessions now. It's like, it's so deeply satisfying because I can be all of me and they can be all of them. Yeah.
Yes.
With all of this. Yeah. And so this is where I feel that's what I'm doing now. But of course, I want to, this is a phase, and I know there will be another phase. And I'm so curious about you, how you do it actually, how you were teaching inside of companies and inside of these teams. Yeah.
Yeah, but because it's a new road I'm walking. And the fact that this inner development goals has crystallized, that it's an open source. You enter and you can pick tools and everything, but the tricky part is what do you do with it? So we decided to start this inner development Barcelona business hub, 5 strong partners that are already implementing the framework of inner development somehow in their company structures. So we have IKEA, we have the Saudi Business School, we have Verify, which is a Swedish startup, United Partners, which is a PR company in 60 countries, and Impact Hub Barcelona, where we are, the venue, which has an amazing community. They exist in 69 countries. And by having it, first of all, implemented in these kind of companies, because people need to see that the big companies, they are they listen. So when you're talking about ripple effect, I have the same philosophy that if we can get it out to the leaders and management teams, organizations, the change makers are already on the train, and the entrepreneurs, but to ripple it out in the organizations, we have won a lot of time, because time is precious. I mean, look what's happening with our world. So I'm also like thinking, how much time do I have to make the biggest change myself, to put my little sandcorn to the rest. And so this is what I see, that it's needed in the corporate ambience. And because we were from the beginning taught to create from fear in school, not from love. That's changed there in the early. So many people are conditioned like in the old paradigm, thinking that it should be like a certain way. And this has a tremendous effect on that people don't speak up. They are sitting quiet. They don't have engagement in their jobs. And I'm trying to focus to tell the leaders about, look at the cost, because that they are interested in, the money, always the money. But there is a tremendous, if you do the equation, you can see what it costs to have talent that is not engaged and to lose talent, instead of investing in the talent there and to make them flourish and to give. I mean, I love the younger generation because they have a demand to be seen, valued and get progress. But my generations we are still there in the middle of, well, I can't change anything. Yes, you can. But I mean, it's the leaders that can help this progress, I think, to be able to support their staff. To, what happens when a team feels safe? There is a safe container to create from, and they feel backed up from their boss. They are the leaders, not the boss. I mean, we have to go from boss to leader. It's very different for me. So this is how I try to, one way of getting it inside the corporate stream. And then I'm also a coach. So also with my own example that I became sick from not being my true authentic self. I was doing to perform and accomplish, but it was not good for me. So that also had a full stop and everything. And so I became a coach. And first I became a business coach. And that was fulfilling. But now I coach entrepreneurs into linking the purpose to their business, to find that. And I haven't stopped elaborating on this formula, because I would also love to work with the founders of companies to prepare them for the journey, to not burn out. And that's where I would love to have ingredients like a Taya in this, evolving them. We need this kind of teachers, coaches, healers, so people can get the tools and get the guidance to do it themselves, because nobody's going to do it for them. I mean, we cannot heal somebody in that terms. We have to heal ourselves. But the great teachers can show us, inspire us, and open up the possibility and unlock ourselves. So this is the way how I am now starting this road. Este camino. And that is why it's important that we get to know each other. So how we can connect the dots.
I love everything you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you talk also about sexual energy, people get super scared. You can't even talk about that. It's nothing to do with your business, because business is not personal, but business, of course, it's personal. It's where we create. It's where we earn our money and our living. It's all part of us. So I would love for you to talk more. What is sexual energy? What we can do about it? What can we do with it? Because it's life force, as you say.
Yeah. The truth is, we can basically channel it into everything and nothing, right? Unconsciously, what we're collectively doing is really channeling it just in the head. People live from the head. That's why we see a very distorted, in my opinion, expression of sexuality in porn and, wherever. However, it's a life-giving energy. Yeah, it's where we can create deep connections, where we can use it to actually get into action and create visions that need to materialize, right? Actually really create new things that need a lot of courage. Yeah, sexual energy is such a strong, fierce energy, that wants to create, imagine, creating new human beings, right? But the same energy can create businesses, teams, ideas, art, whatever you want to use it for, connections, leadership. And if you say it has nothing to do with corporate, it's like, wow, it doesn't make sense to me at all, because I think it's common sense by now also in corporate that modern leadership starts with self-leadership, right? Like you need to know who you are. But how? Most people don't even know, in my opinion, who they are, because they stop somewhere here. And there is really a deeper part in them. And when they open that part up, they really get connected to higher places as well. So in my opinion, that self-leadership to also access the core, of your beingness, where, by the way, we always are enough. Yeah. It's also where this over psychologizing stops, right? I feel we are also a little bit hypnotized with a certain way of psychology where we again fall into a trap of constantly working on patterns and never going to be enough, right? Where it's another way of disempowering us, actually, where we snap out of it and we feel deep inside our intuition, our instincts, that animal part of us that just knows. So many times when people, I've guided them through crisis, we look back and it's like, and now tell me, when did you actually deep inside know that exactly this was happening? And they always say, I knew it from the beginning. I knew it in that moment, but I couldn't act upon it. It couldn't even reach my consciousness, but deep inside I knew. But I had to spiral down for years until I really, just like me, just like you, we collapsed in some way. And I really don't find it necessary anymore, because what then
we can do it before.
Yes, we remember who we are. And just coming back to Ibiza, and when I learned how to walk as a 1-year-old in Ibiza, and after that we traveled a lot. My parents were very adventurous. We bought a van in New York City, and we traveled the US, all the different communities back then, in 78. And I remember the energy and the being hungry for something new, that age of wanting to live from love, as you said, and feeling the different ways of freedom and discovering ourselves. And then, as I said, my dad went to live in Greece in a community, and all of this, I do believe it lacked a certain way of inner work, of trauma work. It didn't go full circle. But in that time, at least as a child, I was fully allowed to be myself. And I was so awake. I was so so connected. Let's not say conscious, because I was 3 years old, right? But I knew I could always
connected to consciousness.
Yes, I could always see things naturally that other people couldn't see, because I wasn't in some kind of nursery or kindergarten. I was out there playing with animals and other free children. And then I remember in Greece, that was a community without electricity or water. We would have donkeys at that time to carry material up to build these dome tents that then 30 years later, I find myself in Ibiza teaching in a dome tent. But my main point is that I feel I'm very blessed to have always been seeing the different sides, and we mentioned it before, bridging the gap, right? How can we integrate it really into society and forms of living together? Starting with ourselves. And I think the key word here is integration, a long integration. And that's what I'm doing in my mentorships, where actually I see the actual work, the sessions, as the laboratory. And then we are in a constant, let's say, somatic coaching, somatic self-leadership, self-mastery conversation on an app, where I'm basically always in your energy field, no matter if you're in Australia or in Barcelona or in Sweden. And that means, and that's another keyword, decision. Yeah. It's not like something is like transforming in you. You're deciding every day again from where to live, from it's full responsibility, self-responsibility, and a decision making every day, which needs to be so strong, because we live in these metrics or in these collective narratives that want to pull us back into the old, right? We all want to be pioneers of something new. And that, in my opinion, takes a lot of energy, a lot of determination, a lot of passion. Yeah. And a lot of hunger. And that's in our body, that hunger for the new. It's like we're done. Yes. Through a new experience, who we really are. Yeah.
So you're really defining patterns in people that they go back to, or maybe are stuck in, or is it blockages? I mean, I'm very curious on this somatic, because it's I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it myself. So in some ways it's new to me to dive deep, and I would love us to dive deep into the somatic mastery. What is it?
Well, imagine. The way I can tap into you is that you were born with, let's say, a song that only you can sing. Yeah, a song. It's an energetic song that when you are willing to be authentic, or when you are embodying that song in the world, everything kind of falls into place. Yeah, your energy flow it's unlimited, and it's clear, and it's direct and authentic. And from there, you can basically just be yourself. Your communication changes, the capacity for intimacy. You remember your innate gift. What are you here to give? It's so complex, but at the same time, it's so simple, because you know your song. You know deep inside why you're here. Yeah. So the somatic mastery, the approach that I have basically developed from everything I've studied, and together with my partner, who is a higher self, very spiritual leadership coach, also in corporate, and a breathwork teacher himself, because he always saw the necessity to include embodiment in leadership. And then me working so deep through the body, the microcosm of people, and bringing it all together, because it needs to be out there. Yeah. Yes. So I don't want to make it too complicated, but in the end, for me, the biggest problem in humanity is separation, right? That because we are deep inside, we are all one, but through separating in different ways, we create problems, we create wars, we create disempowerment. Yeah, we create illness, we create a lot of things that actually we don't want to have. And so in that moment, when we work on evolution, in my opinion at least, we need to find a way to be one at that moment of coaching. Yeah. So I literally work to the deepest parts into your body, and the highest connection to your spiritual. It's a place where the past and the future come together, where the material and the energetic, the ether, like everything comes together. And you can access that through yourself, and anyone can. And what do we find? We find this innate life force energy. Yeah, your greatest gift. It's a desire to live and to give and to create something that is beneficial for everyone. It's really from this place of oneness. Yeah, where we want to create for the future of our children, where we want to create a whole new way of equality. Yeah, it's really in our bones. I see it with everyone that, agrees to work with me, because I can go so deep. And then from there, it is about bringing it out there and embodying it. And when we tap into this desire, what happens? Boom. You want to go forward, but you're going to meet the charge of your trauma and conditioning, right? And the more you wake up, or at least that's my experience. Again, I'm not saying it's for everyone, but the more we wake up opening this channel, we start to be able to see our psychic abilities come back. Yeah. Like our shamanic abilities, like we have so many intelligences that we're not trained to use in our society. Yeah.
No.
Like we're done with how things are. It's never like, look at the world right now, right? It's this big contraction.
It is a big contraction. And when you say self-leader, to lead yourself, I mean, also I want to be clear about that to the listeners, that you don't have to be a leader in a company or have a great sex life. It's not what we are talking about when we talk about leadership and sexual energy. It is to dare to lead yourself in life and to get that life force flowing. If I haven't totally misunderstood you, Taya.
No, it's exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to feel your power to actually make bold decisions that you weren't able to make before, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal to change yourself and the world every day a little bit.
Yeah, because we have to change our beliefs that we have.
Yeah.
And define if they are limiting or not. And that is not easy sometimes to do that yourself alone. And I think that's why coaches is so very well needed today, because we have accelerated this world into, we are so in the matrix, running. And people, even if we are living in a time when we have everything, we have also more mental illness and more anxiety. It's like spiraling.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. We have it all. And especially the people I work with now, they have it all, and they come to me and we open up this deep, big emptiness inside. Yeah. Where they have it all. They also, it's not like they're not living their talents or they're in a whole wrong life. It's just almost as we need to come to a point where we open up to a deeper place within. And
and it can be done to still live your life, where you don't have to go and live in Bali for accomplishing it.
No.
Right?
No, exactly not that. Exactly bringing it back into your community. Or, I mean, I went to live in Ibiza because that felt like home. It's a lot about coming back home in yourself, right? It's like for women, so much, they always so hardly ever meet any new women that feel safe. There's always that, I don't feel safe. And it's like, what does it mean? What does it mean? They're not connected to their core, to which very practically is the lower part of our body. We, as soon as we get into our head, we split up from different parts when we re-access, when we start to feel again, when we start to work through these charges in the body, which is basically, emotional charges and energetic charges, old pain that we weren't able to feel because it was too much at that moment, to realize today we're strong, powerful women, and we're so capable of feeling through the pain. It's those ghosts that live inside of us. It's a matter of 10 seconds, 90 seconds, minutes sometimes, to discharge and completely transform from deep within. And what does it do? It changes the way we deal with emotions, the way we perceive. You spoke about beliefs and mindset. It's like a resetting of the mind through a completely new experience that's full body, that's from deep within. And suddenly you understand, whoa, what I always believed wasn't true at all. It was a story. It was a narrative. It was something they were feeding me, or some conclusion I made from a place of stress or helplessness. at that time.
Well, a lot of people are afraid of this.
Yeah.
What can you tell, like a message to the people that are afraid of starting a journey like this?
Mm. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
There is no there. See, you make friends with your pain and fear. That's what I can say. Yeah, it's as God given inside of you as your joy and your love. Yeah, it's working for you. Fear is a great energy that's there for us to wake us up. It's just we haven't learned to open up to that energy. Instead, we close and we create anxiety, and we create disconnection, and we create loneliness, and we create mental illnesses, because we push it all up into the brain, into the head. Yeah, when we open with fear, whoa, it wakes us up. We make better decisions. We use it. We perform better. It's actually the opposite of what we're afraid of is going to happen.
Yeah, isn't that wow?
Yes,
Incredible. That is something that we have at hand every day.
Yeah.
That blocks us, that could just, with a little twist, turn it around, and it could be our power.
Yeah. I mean, I have people laughing and crying at the cosmic, like the joke of it all, that to wake up to, whoa, it's not true. What my truth is inside. It's a lot about suddenly accessing our own truth inside. And I've been afraid of something that doesn't really even exist. Yeah.
No. And so you have something called Soul Pilot. Is that the program for, or is that something that you do together with your husband?
Soul Pilot is actually a platform that I'm doing together with my husband, which I find in terms of group trainings or group seminars, group programs, we've created something that I find incredibly impactful. So it's a 6-week program that we've, optimized and taught over 7 years. And it's a 10-day online preparation. It's a 5-day very intense training, and again a 4-week integration with this group. And we're really creating a tribe who is meant to empower each other to, right, when we go back into the matrix or into your old life where you have changed so deeply. Yeah, you have a tribe online, or the last one we did was now almost 2 years ago, and this group is still empowering each other, still thriving together, still really supporting each other. So we created this little bubble for that where people can come home to.
Yes, like in the part of integration, because when you are going through a journey like this and you shed layers, it can be a very lonely process, because then all of a sudden there are friends or close ones that are totally strangers all of a sudden to you, and vice versa.
Yes.
That you don't have anything to talk about anymore.
That's so true. And even your closed ones, they're not changing in the same way, Ideally, it's we're going to grow together. And I see this happening a lot, because part of the program has a lot to do with relationships and communication and empowering yourself to empower each other. So you give space for people around you to grow. And usually what I see when people get the space, that's what we're doing naturally. We want to grow, right? So again, we have this ripple effect in their lives. So that's what I'm doing together with my husband. However, we really took a little bit of a break, because I deeply dove into these mentorships and working with women. And he does a lot of amazing work in corporate and also working more with men. Yeah. So, but I'm sure we're going to bring it back together more at some point. It's all connected,
also where
right?
you yourself are in the process that takes you to what you're working with in this moment, I guess.
Exactly, to be really true to ourselves, right? That's I find the highest art in teaching from such a deep and authentic place, like you and I, as soon as we bring it out there, we need to put it again in a certain form within the economy, which we don't want, because for me as a teacher, I need to be a student all of my life, right? Like I'm constantly learning. If I lose my hunger for learning, I'm gonna not be able to serve in the best way. Yeah.
No.
To be brave enough to always again change and follow again that energy of what do I need to learn so I can teach exactly that, and not put myself back into a box as a coach for only soul pilot or only this or only that, right? That's I guess it has to do with branding.
As you attract your clients, you're not chasing them. The missions and the projects come crystallizes that way, I guess, which is the most beautiful way. If we can live like that.
Yes.
Because we stay in our own truth.
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious with your son and his upbringing. He must be, wow, having two parents like this. How do you let him be totally free?
I must say it's been just so easy here in Ibiza. It just, I mean, as I said, the first 4 years of his life, we also traveled a lot, also to Asia and a lot to Ibiza. And he was just free. He wasn't, he actually at some point went to kindergarten, but it was also a very advanced kindergarten where he's also a very lucky person somehow. He was born on the 10th, 11th, 12th at 13, 14, the minute. That's his birth. Yes. And
that's magic.
It's in many journeys I did with myself and the work I did, like I got a lot of, I always had this question also, what does it mean? And the answers I got was really like, his path is free. And I so deeply understand what it means. It's much more free than it was for me. I went through a lot. I mean, almost all of my family has already passed away. Yeah, it's me and one uncle, the uncle who used to live in Ibiza, and my son.
He's still around.
Yeah, he actually went back to Germany because he met his soulmate, and then they had 3 more children together, and they lived a very creative life. He's gonna come and visit this summer. I'm so excited. So yeah, but so there was a lot, and all of my family, passed to the illnesses of society. Yeah, and I mentioned suicide with my dad, who a little bit got lost in the dream maybe, and couldn't find his way to really integrate into society. He was so, before his time. He would, when I was still little, he would read quantum physics, and he would see the big picture and work with the alternative energy, where finally now it's more common in Ibiza to have solar energy, but that's what he did already in the 70s, right? But he was not a businessman at all. He would, criticize a little bit too much from what he could see. So he couldn't, and he wasn't able to work through his horrible trauma of being a child of the war, basically, and losing his parents. And I mean, this is obviously a very long story, but yeah, it's about waking up to how everything is connected, all the generations before us.
The circles of life.
Yeah. And that I think you and I, we are in this super fortunate position to really transform a big part. We finally have the tools. We finally have momentum, the space to do this. And I think in this way, our son is going to be much more free to do something new. Yeah, that he doesn't in the same way have to work through. Of course, he'll have his own trauma and conditioning, but it's a bit different from.
It's a bit different, yes.
Yeah. From what we've been through.
Yeah.
And
if you think
plus,
forward, sorry.
I just wanted to add that also he was, from the beginning here in Ibiza, working outside and conscious preschool where they would work with emotions and meditate and create leadership in some kind of almost it's called the Academy Wild, where the boys would go camping wild and
nice.
reconnecting to earth and their life force, energy and power, and be a team and do Wim Hof breathing and ice bath, and all of these things are just, for my son, that's just like so normal, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't particularly love the ice bath, I must say. But the idea of it, that's really, and I can see it because right now he's going to a international school that's more, elite and more the classic, schooling. Nice. But he and his friends, really, I feel they are so strong and so rooted in themselves that they really know what they want and what they don't want. And I never find him in any dynamics where he doesn't know how to say no or yes, or what he wants or not, or rarely ever in even in conflicts. It's beautiful to see. I feel they really got a great base. And then because in Ibiza it's kind of common to go to so many different schools, also to understand there are different forms that you can choose from. It's not only this one thing where your parents put you in and then you stay until you're 20 or 19, but and you can choose your bits, and it's beautiful.
That's very empowering. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And talking about cobalts, I'm going back to Sweden tomorrow for 10 days for both work and also to be with my mom. And I have this bathing house there. It's over 125 or something years old down, because Malmö has also a beach, just like Barcelona, but it's a natural beach. And there, I used to work there as a teenager in the summers. I mean, my mom took me there when I was a kid. And now I totally have it's like a healing place for me. I have really tapped into this thing to winter bathe and do breath work and sauna, and then go through the ice. And in the wild, it's like, wow, it's such a revelation. And people think that, my God, you couldn't even go swimming in Sweden before because it was too cold. No. But then because I was in my head thinking that it's cold, not entering in the element and breathing myself into that I am water, I think it is amazing.
Wow. Exactly.
So, and your island has all of this. That is like, wow. So I really recommend all people to go and visit Ibiza.
Yes, come.
So let me know about the somatic strategy. What does that mean? And how does it work in your work of somatic leadership coaching?
Sounds like a big word, right? But truth is, in the moment you give me permission, we have this connection. Like we wanna work together, because for me it's like a bit like falling in love with your essence. So it is a commitment, right? But when you give me this permission to really tap deep into your system, to really see deep, in that moment, your body, like your system, starts talking to me, and I can see exactly like where you're holding yourself back, where is it blocking, where, like, how, what's the essence that wants to flow into your relationships, into your communication, into your connection with yourself, into your mission, into your purpose, you name it, right? It's already in you. It's so clear, it's energetic. And when I can tap into it and find out through a lot of tools that I'm using, it's very clear to me, what does the integration look like for you, very, very uniquely, personally, and in real life. So we're going to look into whatever long the container is, 3 months, 6 months, and we go literally week by week and see, like, what are the moments where you can have momentum. We literally would create the future before it exists. So you experience yourself in a new way. using these new qualities that got reawakened or reignited. And then you'll be in the re-experience, and then you're somehow proving to your own mind, your own system, that you change your identity. Yeah. It's really like you don't identify anymore. It's transformation. Exactly. But it needs to anchor, right? You need to live it. You need to feel and breathe it. And the strategy is that it's already basically in your essence. It's already there.
It's in my system.
Yes.
And by awakening in it and having a strategy of integration, I can make it real, the transformation.
Exactly.
Like the change will last.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will last. And more than that, it feels so much more natural. And the old way is going to feel wrong at some point. And you know, at first it feels a little bit like a pendulum, still in and out. And then at some point you're just like, whoa, if I can be this, if I can be myself, if I can use my power, why would I go back to the limited one?
No.
And you just choose,
it's
because you
logical
can.
when you say it.
Yeah. But the strategy is already there. It's not something I'm making up. It's like, sometimes I say, like, I'm a translator of your higher self. For me, the higher self is exactly that energy that can flow from the deepest Mother Earth to the highest divine through your channel, through your body. Yeah. And that's already there. It's always been there. We just have been doing a lot of effort to put ourselves into that box that we thought would give us love and acknowledgement and money and success and all of these things that society tells us, right? But no, that's not it. The strategy is already there. It's you're born with it. You're conceived with it.
Yeah,
maybe.
that is
I
how
don't know.
You find your way back to your path, right?
Yes.
Because being on your path is when you stop betraying yourself.
Exactly.
Sometimes we don't know that we do that.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
If we would sum up our very interesting conversation, what would you like to give to the listeners to take with them after listening to us?
Absolutely. Like, start with the conversation. Contact Jessika or contact me. I always offer like a free call if you really feel called, if you want to experience this, right? There is a limit to speaking about things, but there is absolute limitlessness to your own experience. And I just want to invite you to, we are here, right? I don't know what you want to offer your audience, how to contact you, but you can book a call with me. You can contact me in different ways on my socials, and let's start a conversation. Let's see where you're at, what you're longing for, what do you want right now? Yeah, what resonates with you when we speak about these things? And let's
there will be all the information on the episode, how to contact you. Great. And what for yourself, Taya? What is it that you want for yourself in the future?
Wow. Again, I feel that's exactly what I want, to keep teaching, because this is what makes me happy. I feel just the most myself when I'm teaching and guiding and leading. And I wish for many more amazing women like the ones I'm already teaching to find me, to have more impact, to be able to live in this way basically forever and spread it all over the world. And so many people just don't know what they don't know. That's there for them too, right? This deeper coming home.
It's really beautiful what you're doing and how you live your life.
Thank you so much.
And so I thank you very much for wanting to be here on the Conscious Podcast and spreading your love and your word. And I will say thank you to the listeners for listening for another podcast of mine. And until next time, be well.